Good morning. My name is Mark Levine. I am the Deputy Director of your New York State Association of Counties, and I'm the Executive Director of the Municipal Electric and Gas Alliance, which is a longtime partner of the New York State Association of Counties. It is my pleasure to welcome you to today's webinar about Clean Energy Communities Round 3. I want to thank the Municipal Electric and Gas Alliance, MEGA, for sponsoring this webinar. MEGA was created in 1998 by Tompkins and Tioga County. Its mission is to achieve the most competitive electricity and natural gas prices for its members, to minimize the cost of energy and maximize stable supply. MEGA currently serves over 270 counties, municipalities, and school districts across New York State. It's the largest municipal energy program in the state. I'd like to encourage you to visit megaenergy.org to learn how you can put the power of MEGA to work for your county. Today, we're going to hear from the New York State Energy Research and Development Authority about the latest round of the Clean Energy Communities program. We often get asked, how can our community, our county, our municipality, our school district become a clean energy community? So we're really pleased today to be able to bring you this webinar. Across the state, local governments are striving to create a healthy and sustainable environment by investing in clean energy solutions. The Clean Energy Communities Round 3 provides the tools and resources that you need to take your municipality to the next level, with new high-impact action items and increased access to grant funding. Joining us to talk about these new opportunities is NYSERDA Program Manager Chris Rear. Mr. Rear is the Program Manager for the Cleaner, Greener Communities Program, the Just Transition Site Reuse Planning Program, and Clean Energy Communities Program. He also provides oversight of the Clean Energy Communities Coordinator Services, which are aimed at promoting municipal-based programs and assisting communities with NYSERDA program participation to achieve their clean energy and sustainability goals. Before I turn it over to Chris, I want to turn it over to Jeanette Stanziano, NYSEC's Director of Education and Training, for some housekeeping items. Jeanette.
Thank you, Mark. We just want to let you know that as with all NYSEC webinars, we will be recording this program, and we will post the recording as well as a PDF of all the slides presented on the NYSEC website at www.nysec.org. Just click on the events page and then click on webinars and look for today's date. We also want to encourage you to feel free to submit questions for our speaker at any time during his presentation. We ask you to do so by referring to your dashboard, clicking on the questions tab, and typing in your questions, which we will get to during a brief Q&A at the end of the program. Back to you, Mark.
Thank you, Jeanette. So we get a lot of questions from municipalities about how to become a clean energy community. So now is a really good chance to ask questions of the expert, the state's expert. So without further ado, I'd like to thank Mr. Rear for joining us this morning and invite him to explain how the new Clean Energy Communities program can bring energy savings and economic opportunities to your county. Chris.
All right, thank you, Mark, and thanks to you to everyone at NYSEC for their partnership with NYSERDA and inviting me to present to all of you folks. Hopefully you'll walk away with a little more information than you already have. If you don't have any information about the Clean Energy Communities program, it's a unique opportunity to maximize clean energy initiatives and also take advantage of increased funding now that we have through the new program. So I'm going to walk you through sort of a little bit of the history, get into the services that will help position you to take actions, talk about what those actions are, and then lastly, what you can use that money for from the clean energy actions that you've completed for potential grants. And hopefully there'll be a robust set of questions so we can clear up any questions that you have about the program. So the way the program is set up, well, originally it was set up in 2016, where we identified 10 high impact action items. When we say high impact action items, that's a term that we use, but actions that communities, municipalities, that cities, towns, villages, and counties can take that will further reduce their carbon footprint, but more importantly, not more importantly, but equally importantly, is that they're economically viable strategies for both short and long-term economic stability within the municipality. Secondly, that it can help the constituents within the municipality take additional energy actions. So when I go through the list of high impact action items, you'll see what I mean. So we have we started in 2016 with the Clean Energy Communities program. In 2021, we changed the program to call it the leadership round. So it was an enhancement of the program. And on December 13th of 2023, we released CEC, Clean Energy Communities 3.0, where we increased the high impact action items from about 12 to 13 to over 60 now, and significantly increased the funding, as well as improve the participation experience from municipalities. So we have the high impact action items, flexible grant funding with no local cost share, which is a bit unique. Oftentimes for either federal or state programs, there's a requirement of cost share. We remove that from this program to entice increased participation. The last thing I'll mention on this slide is the recognition for your community's leadership. So we partner with many communities, have in the past, to showcase the achievements that the communities have succeeded in completing, and we have a comprehensive team of both marketing staff and communication staff to help you with press events, press releases, tweets, whatever that might be, to showcase what you've achieved in your community. Next. So one of the things that we've developed is a scorecard. So this is an example of a scorecard. There's one created for every municipality. It's on our website, and it will list out the number of high impact action items, the achievements that communities in the region have completed. So if you want to showcase and highlight what you've done with your community, it's an easy way to do that. The key feature of the program is free coordinator support. I'll get into that in a little bit, but we have contracted with multiple firms that have relationships with municipalities across the state. And based on a simple phone call or email, we can set up a meeting with those individuals in person or through a webinar to explain to municipalities, counties, what they can specifically do to maximize participation experience within the program. There are a variety of resources and toolkits to assist with completing those high impact action items. The coordinators will help choose the energy actions that are right for a community. So if a community has a need for purchasing electric vehicles, we could go down that road. If they don't really have too many vehicles for a smaller community, that might not be a key strategy that they want to encourage or they want to complete as part of the program. It might be building related, it might be legislative action. There's a variety of different choices that I'll get into. These coordinators will work with the community to complete the high impact action items first, and then to identify a grant application that they can use the funding for. And we will help the CEC program be presented to local stakeholders, your local constituents, if necessary, to maximize the value proposition for participating in the program. Next slide. So here's a slide that kind of illustrates the coordinator services that are available. So we have Finger Lakes, Central New York, basically all of the regions, the REDC regions. We have individuals within those regions. Every single municipality within the state is assigned to a coordinator, to an individual, to work with those communities. So we have a robust set of experts that are there to help you. At this point, we have over 30 individuals that are providing services, and they do so every day helping communities. Next slide. So far we have 800 communities that have participated. That's 800 out of the 1,600 communities in New York State, many of which are counties, 500 communities have earned a clean energy community designation. That's increasing all the time. So the participation has been robust, and it's actually ramped up. Since we've launched the program 2 months ago, we've reviewed more than 400 high impact action items and have released almost $2.4 million. So there's active participation and plenty of funding to be had over the next year and a half. Next slide. So here illustrates the New York State County participation. 45 of the 62 counties are participating. So that represents 73% of counties. So many of those folks that are on the call here are likely participants. If not, please get involved. Counties have completed more than 308 actions to achieve thousands of dollars of funding. So again, there's active participation, and this is from previous participation. Like I said, now we've increased the funding, so there's a lot more benefits to be had through the program. Next slide. So this slide illustrates the series of steps to work through the program. So the first is to identify the high impact action item that makes sense for the community. And as I said, we'll talk about those in a second. The more high impact action items that are completed, the more points to earn. In addition to those points, there's designation levels. So you can illustrate the success of completing a certain number of high impact action items that you'll achieve a high level of designation. And it's first come, first serve. So that's a change to the program. When it was originally released and through the second round, the leadership round, it was based on funding that's allocated per region. The program will end at the end of 2025, and we have a bucket of money that we're deploying throughout the state. So rather than identifying funding for each region, we've decided to change it. It's first come, first served now statewide, which is increasing the competition and the urgency to participate early. Next slide. Okay, so this is the first sort of chart that illustrates the funding levels. Originally in the program, we had just CEC designation. When I say CEC, Clean Energy Communities. We now are continuing that, but that's not the priority, or that's not where we want communities to strive to achieve. So if you complete 4 high impact action item, it's $5,000. We want communities to step up their participation, and we've identified 5-star designation tiers. So the more points you complete, the higher the funding is for those points. So if you complete 1,000 points, and you'll see how many points are associated with each high impact action item, it's $10,000. Once you receive 3,000 points, now that tiers up to 50,000, 100,000, et cetera. Now that's funding for small communities. And then in addition to that, and that's, to be clear, small communities are population of 40,000 or below. Larger communities are 40,000 and above. So the tiered of incentives is higher for those larger communities. Now, the first slide here that I'm showing you, these are actions that are completed before October 10th of 2024. We set this up so we would create urgency for participation. The incentive levels are higher in this first component of the program, this first time frame of the program, and then they slightly decline. And again, the reason for this separation is we want communities to complete these actions early on in the program so we can start to deploy the funding. Next slide. Now this is the funding after. So this is from October 1st, 24 to December 31st, 2025, when the program ends. So they're slightly lower, not dramatically, but again, the reason for this is to create a sense of urgency. Next slide. Okay, so these are the list of high impact action items. They're broken out largely between transportation, infrastructure. There's sections here for codes, legislation, a variety of different choices that I'll step through. We've partnered recently with the program update with many other programs within NYSERDA, including clean energy financing, benchmarking, the codes team, and many others, thermal energy network. So there's many choices to leverage this program to help municipalities take advantage of other programs within NYSERDA that will be providing funding through the Clean Energy Communities program, in addition to other funding and benefits that you can get through these other programs. Next slide. Okay, this is the first of many slides. So all of the details on these high impact action items are clearly defined in the program opportunity notice, and we can send that out, a link to the web page and to the program opportunity notice that lists out all the requirements and all the benefits to communities for each of these high impact action items. So I'll start with the first one, clean energy upgrades to municipal buildings and municipal buildings demo. So this is focusing on municipal buildings. We're encouraging municipal governments to upgrade the energy performance of those municipal buildings to help them save money on the energy upgrades and to show leadership. So for example, with the clean energy buildings demo, we want communities to perhaps install heat pumps, electrify the building, upgrade their lighting, and have some materials and perhaps a kiosk. So when the constituents come into those buildings, they can showcase the energy performance improvement, and there's points available for doing so. In addition to this, there are also points for net zero buildings, which is another tier of this component of the program. And as you can see on the slide here, there's anywhere between 100 points to 4,100 points. So think about these points when you look back to the first slide and the second, or not the first chart, identifying how many points are associated and how much money that you can get. So a small community with 3,000 points, the funding was, I believe it was in that case, $50,000. So there's quite a bit of funding that's available through the program at this point. Next slide. Renewable energy, so that's another component of the program. So if the community subscribes to CDG, community distributed energy, such as wind, hydro, or solar, there are points available for that. Or if a community adopts to host or install a clean distributed energy resources on municipal property, there are additional funding available for points for that action. And again, we're trying to encourage communities to save money with utility bill discounts that can also spill over to their constituents. Next slide. Okay, moving over to this one, thermal energy networks. So we have a program, Clean Heating and Cooling at NYSERDA, where we're encouraging municipalities to work with local partners, potentially private partners, to install thermal energy networks. So what that is essentially a geothermal system that will serve multiple buildings. That could be the municipal buildings partnered with private sector buildings, or just encouraging them to do so for the private sector buildings. So for this high impact action items, we're offering incentives, points for incentives for issuing an RFP for a thermal energy network, in addition to other points that are available for the community to have a FlexTech study, participating in our NYSERDA FlexTech program. That's in a program where we're offering technical consulting services, flexible technical consulting services, where there are points associated with that for communities that take out a FlexTech study exploring a thermal energy network. Next slide. LED streetlights. This one came out originally in the program. We had a tremendous amount of participation in this program. Essentially, it's broken out between Cobra head, traditional Cobra head fixtures, and decorative fixtures. So if a community upgrades their LED streetlights, or I'm sorry, their streetlights to LEDs, there's points associated with that. And we have a lot of experienced individuals that are a part of our coordinator team that can help navigate the way through working with the utility to upgrade those streetlights. Next slide. Benchmarking. So benchmarking is important for the program in that we can help communities identify the performance of their buildings. So we can identify energy savings opportunities, identify investment opportunities for those energy upgrades, and address the major source of emissions that are coming out of municipalities. So we want to help communities look at their buildings, benchmarking those buildings against other buildings throughout the country, and say, okay, this building has a low energy score. It's a good candidate for an energy upgrade, which you can get other services and incentives for the energy upgrades for those buildings. Next. Clean fleets. There are a variety of different choices in terms of high impact action items. Electric vehicles for the municipal infrastructure, we've got, I'm sorry, electric vehicles and municipal infrastructure. So the electric vehicles are for fleet vehicles. They could be for just code enforcement officials utilizing vehicles for that. It could be for the police department. It could be for off-road vehicles. There's a variety of choices that are identified, many of which are now added to the program. There are also incentives for installing electric vehicle charging stations. And the focus here is increase the resident access to electric vehicle charging stations. As all of you know, there's a push to get more electric vehicles out in the marketplace. They need to charge. So that's why we're working with municipalities to help them build that infrastructure within their municipality to help both the constituents within the municipality as well as for those vehicles that are purchased to support the municipality. Next slide. Climate Smart Communities is a program that's available through DEC, the Department of Environmental Conservation. That is sort of a stepping stone from our program. Now, many communities have been concerned that there's a bit of confusion between the two programs. Climate Smart is just that. It's taking a climate pledge to reduce emissions and take actions that reduce the impact on the climate. The Clean Energy Communities program is similar in that there's a base focus on a variety of clean energy actions that, if you think about this from looking at it like a college degree, the Clean Energy Communities program is like taking a bachelor's degree, whereas the Climate Smart is more of a master's degree. So we're trying to position communities to take these basic actions that will lead to Climate Smart community certification, and there is recognition and achievement through the DEC program. We partner very closely with DEC. The coordinators will help both with Clean Energy Communities and Climate Smart to complete the high impact action items through Clean Energy Communities, and to then take the pledge and receive certification through Climate Smart. In addition, if a community receives either a bronze or silver certification, there are points associated with that. If they've already achieved a bronze certification, let's say a few years ago, and they recertified, there are now additional points for that recertification for both bronze and silver. Next. Community choice aggregation, that's been a popular and effective component of the program. Essentially, what you're committing to is buying either 50% or 100% renewable energy that is available for your constituents. So it's a pool of buying power for communities to get better pricing. You can choose cleaner energy, again, either the 50% or 100%, and it increases the local control over energy resources. Essentially, signing into an agreement to purchase both lower cost energy and renewable energy. Next. County hosted training. So there's a variety of different components that we have for supporting counties for training on several different clean energy actions. So we're trying to convene and support municipalities to advance local action on clean energy and help municipalities, counties be a leader in helping understand how to manage responsible clean energy development within the communities. So looking to the program opportunity notice, you'll see that there's a variety of different choices for training that will be hosted through NYSERDA. Next slide. This is new to the program, electric landscaping equipment, which is becoming more and more popular. So we're encouraging municipalities to invest in money-saving equipment for the community and staff. So this could be lawnmowers, zero-turn lawnmowers. It could be for blowers, trimmers, a variety of different types of landscaping equipment. One example comes to mind. Recently, we funded a zero-turn mean green mower for Albany County, which I believe they're still using actively. There's actually also a solar array on top of that unit. So it's becoming more effective way to reduce carbon emissions within municipalities, and they're becoming more widely available with many, many more choices. So it's a very simple process to complete this high impact action and get points for purchasing and utilizing electric landscaping equipment for the county. Next slide. Municipal clean fleet inventory. That goes back to what I was talking about earlier for transportation sections. So what we will do is offer support services through our coordinator network to identify the entire fleet of inventory of vehicles. So you could look through and say, okay, we have 15, 20, 30 vehicles within our fleet. These vehicles are this old, and these would be good candidates for transitioning to electric vehicles. Oftentimes, municipalities really don't have a good handle on what their fleet consists of. So this is a way to position the municipality, the county, to identify those vehicles that are ripe for transitioning to electrification in a way that they haven't really been utilizing in the past. Next slide. And I think this is the last one here. There are additional opportunities through the program, one of which is if you complete a select high impact action item for benchmarking, that it will open up the door for up to a $5,000 energy study through a network of technical experts that we have. So by completing this high impact action item, you sign up for an energy study. We'll have its L&S consulting services will come out, have an expert walk through a particular building that you're selecting and do an energy study for that building with recommendations on energy improvement opportunities. Next slide. And that concludes the presentation. So again, the message for all of you folks is, if there's any apprehension about what the value proposition is for the program, get in touch with me, get in touch with one of the coordinators that are identified on the website. They will reach out to you, set up a meeting, walk you through the different elements of the program, guide you to what high impact action items make sense for you, lay out what points potentially you could target and receive. And then once you've identified how many points, complete the high impact action item, then it will open up the door for incentive grants for a variety of different projects. Basically anything that reduces carbon emissions, substantial carbon emissions for the program, is eligible through either a prescriptive path, where we have a variety of different choices for grants, whether it be electric vehicle charging stations, electric vehicles, building upgrades, electric landscaping equipments, solar installations. Essentially, that is a standardized program offering. If there's something else that's outside of that, if the project saves at least 1 ton per $10,000 investment, that can apply to a custom path. So essentially the sky's the limit on the different options of choices for the grants. And I think that's it. So thank you everyone for attending the presentation, and I'll open up for questions.
So this is Mark. Chris, that's well done. Great presentation. Very clean, very clear, and I learned a lot. So thank you. I am getting some questions in, but I want to encourage folks to submit questions as you have them. The first question comes from a county legislator. I don't know if my county is a designed clean energy community or has completed any of the high impact actions. Where can I go to find out?
If you go to NYSERDA's website, there should be a scorecard, as was detailed in the earlier slide deck. It will show how far you've come. I could also, I'm not going to do it right now, but if that individual wants to reach out to me offline, I could look it up in our Salesforce database, and in seconds I can figure out how far they've come, what they've done. We have a variety of tools that we've developed over the years since the program launched in 2016, including a Salesforce module where we're carefully tracking all of the activities for each community in the state. So again, you could look into the website for the scorecard, and if you're not able to find it there, reach out to me and I can tell you in a few seconds what you've done.
Great. This one is specifically about benchmarking. So if somebody contacts a coordinator and they want to do benchmarking, do you have a list of consultants that will do the benchmarking, or does the coordinator do the benchmarking for the county or municipality?
That's a great question. The coordinator, all of the coordinators have expertise. If there's a area of the benchmarking that perhaps they're not familiar with, we have experts that are on staff that can help the individual coordinators in the field. So to answer your question, there's not a separate contract with someone else. The coordinator network can provide the benchmarking. And generally what we want to do with the benchmarking is not just say, here, coordinator, you do it. We want to train the members of the municipality so they understand what the results of the benchmarking will uncover. In the event that in the future the coordinator services are no longer available, the municipality is now positioned to understand the benchmarking and to continue on with that practice. But again, reach out to the coordinator. And the list of coordinators, as I said, is on the Clean Energy Communities website. The best way, by the way, to get there is just type in the Google search, Clean Energy Communities, NYSERDA. And rather than trying to go to NYSERDA's website first and then navigate to it, that's the easiest way to get there. And the list of coordinators and phone numbers are there. And again, if you're not able to contact anyone, please reach out to me and I will make the connection.
So you just answered my next question, which was how do I get in touch with a coordinator? So thank you for that.
Yeah, sure.
How much funding is there? You said it's a first come, first serve funding through the end of 2025. What's the full pot of money?
The
Do
full
you
pot
know
is
that?
20. I do. Actually, I know quite a bit about the program because it took almost a year to fully develop the enhancements of the program and identify the funding that we could allocate towards it. So we're happy to say that there's $25 million available through 2025. The program
Great.
closes in December of 2025.
But people better get started now because that's not going to last forever.
Well, and also the other reminder is, if you remember earlier in the slide presentation, if you achieve the designation levels prior to October 1st of 24, the incentives are significantly higher. When I say significantly, they're probably 25% higher.
That's a good point. Thank you. And so if you get a grant, if you do the work and you get a grant, is that money have to be allocated to a certain thing, or is it just assumed that it would be invested into some sort of clean energy program?
So there are a variety of prescriptive grant types. As I said, there's electric vehicles, charging stations, solar, building upgrades, clean transportation, all types of different things. So there's maybe 6 or 8 select prescriptive paths. So if the incentive, I'm in the weeds a little bit, but I'll just go through this. If the incentive is less than $30,000, there is not a need for a contract. So it's a prescriptive path, okay? If the incentive is 30,000 or above, then we require the community to enter into a contract with NYSERDA. This isn't the typical contract. This is a two-step, identifying the design and the implementation once the implementation is completed. In other words, if they're doing a building energy upgrade, what are the components that are going to be installed in the building? And then once the efficiency improvements are installed within the building, then we would issue the grant for that project. All of this is outlined in the program opportunity notice. But the long and short of it is there are very simple paths to get the incentives. If they're smaller, they're even simpler. And if they're larger, they're still not anywhere near as complex as other programs, both state and federal.
Great, thank you. I've got 2 questions that are very similar. Many of these high impact actions are available and geared towards smaller municipalities. How is the program developing to be easier for larger municipalities like counties to gain points? And the other question is are there more opportunities for counties to earn points in round 3?
So, as I said, when we first rolled out the program in 2016, there were 10 high impact action items. There are now more than 60. So what we tried to do is identify different strategies that make sense for all types of communities, including counties. So I think the best thing to do for any county that's interested in participating is reach out to the coordinator. They can help identify which high impact action items will make sense for them. And yes, there are more options for smaller communities, but we try to have a mix of opportunities across the board for counties as well. In addition, this is important, the coordinators don't only support Clean Energy Communities program from NYSERDA. They're versed in a variety of different funding opportunities within NYSERDA, within other state governments or federal opportunities. So it's really beneficial to have a relationship with the coordinator because they can guide them to any funding that might be available for the municipality.
That's great, thank you. We're looking at using the Clean Energy Communities grant to purchase a combination of public and non-public EV charging stations. What's the difference, or chargers? What's the difference between a networked and a non-networked charger? And do public networked chargers have to be open to the public 24 hours a day?
They do not have to be. I mean, there are specific guidelines. If you look to the solicitation in terms of networked, I believe I don't want to guess on some of these because there have been some changes. I believe they need to be networked because we want to make sure that it's part of the network system that is part of what NYSERDA is supporting, but they don't have to be only for municipal governments. We can also support charging stations for the constituents as well. In terms of the networking, look to the pond. If you still have questions, whoever asked that question, reach out to me and I'll make sure that I get the right answer to that question. But I believe it does have to be networked.
Great. One of the high impact actions in previous rounds of the Clean Energies Communities program was achieving 100% renewable energy. If that's not feasible for one reason or another, does the new round allow counties to earn points for incremental improvements to the renewable energy?
At this point, I don't believe that was part of the program initiative, although for renewable energy, there are a variety of different choices, one of which that I talked about is CCA, community choice aggregation. So originally in the program, we offered CCAs for only 100%, and we've worked closely with DPS, Department of Public Service, other stakeholders and experts on CCA, and we've decided to introduce a 50% CCA. So there are, again, 2 tiers of participation for renewable energy that you can take advantage of through that high impact action item.
Great. I think you covered most of this. What types of technical assistance you did on the benchmarking? What other types of technical assistance can the Clean Energy Communities coordinators provide to our localities?
Well, I'm wondering what kind of technical assistance to advance clean energy would not be supported. I mean, in general, the coordinators will work to kind of filter out what the needs of the municipality are. And then if the coordinator can help, they will drive those questions or those projects to other programs within NYSERDA. So for example, if there was a need to study a wastewater treatment facility, that would be a Flex Tech project. So the coordinator can provide some basic information about, let's just say, wastewater. And if the community wanted to go the next step to look at a more in-depth study, we would point to the Flex Tech program. And anyone that isn't familiar with Flex Tech, we have a pool of many different contractors that have demonstrated expertise on energy efficiency in different categories. And that is a 50% cost share program. So it's a 50-50 mix. NYSERDA 50%, the customer would kick in 50%. So for technical services, I think the first thing to do is to talk to the coordinator, figure out what the needs are, and then if they're not able to support directly, we can point them to other resources to provide that necessary technical assistance.
Great. And you talked about having counties or the municipalities do demos. What kind of resources does NYSERDA have for a municipality who wants to promote the fact that they're working towards clean energy communities or climate smart, being a climate smart community? What types of resources can NYSERDA bring to the table?
You mean in terms of showcasing the achievement?
Yeah, in terms of public promotion, yes.
We do that all the time. We have a team of a dozen or so individuals, both on our marketing and communications team. So that's one of the key value propositions for the program, not only to achieve, higher level of clean energy with the economic benefits, as well as the operational benefits many times, but also the recognition. I mean, obviously it's important for communities for the municipalities to be recognized within or outside of the community. And so we have partnered many times with municipalities, with elected officials to have press releases, press events, host demonstration sites, whatever that is. So that's really important to the program, both for NYSERDA and to the municipality. So we can essentially bring whatever is necessary to the table if a municipality is interested in showcasing their achievements. Also, we originally had just the designation level. So once a community got designated, kind of that was it. That was one of the reasons why we have the different levels of designation. So a community might want to celebrate, hey, I've achieved a 2-star designation. Then maybe they advance to 3, 4, or 5 stars. Those are additional opportunities to showcase the achievement.
Great, thanks. And this is a question from NYSAC. Do you have like best practices or lessons learned that we could share with our members? Are there reports out there?
We're working to do a better job on case studies.
Yeah.
As I said, we've got 73% of the counties are participating. So we can work together to figure out exactly, the first step would be to look to those counties and run the scorecard reports for each of those counties, how much they've achieved. That would be a first start. There are some case studies developed, but that's on our to-do list for this year, is to build a promotional sort of toolkit that we can offer to municipalities to say, okay, if you're going to achieve this level of achievement, here are the different steps to take to showcase those achievements. But in terms of, for the question for NYSAC, at a minimum, we can give you those communities that have achieved a certain level and work with you to maybe to put in a newsletter or have another separate presentation to just showcase those counties that have achieved high levels of recognition. One that comes to mind is Albany County has done quite a bit and continues to be an active participant. That's just one off the top of my head. Erie County is another one. So we've got a lot of active participation in the program across the state.
That's really great to hear, and we stand by ready to help and work with you to help get the word out there.
And for those of you that may be attending the conference, and I guess it's in 2 weeks, we will have a booth there. So if anyone has questions, we'll have someone, a coordinator, at the booth. I will be at the event along with other members of the team. And we will also have a second presentation that one of our coordinators will be conducting to further outline the benefits of the program and maybe get into a little bit more detail than I've gotten into today.
Thank you for the promotion of the conference and that workshop. Sure. So, yeah. And thank you to Alex Regan, who is helping to put that workshop together. So at this point, Chris, I don't have any other questions, so I'll give you 30 to 60 seconds to give a wrap, and then we're going to thank you very much.
Yeah, so the wrap is, again, as I've said, I guess numerous times, it appears to be complex and difficult to participate in many state and federal programs. They are very oftentimes difficult. You have to submit a proposal and wait to be awarded. This program doesn't work like that. We have people in the field, a phone call away, an email away, to sit down with you and identify what the county can do to advance their clean energy opportunities within the municipality. They will guide you through the program. They're just a phone call away as you're participating in the program. And there's a fair amount of funding that's available. Now it's increased significantly from earlier rounds. There are many other opportunities, both for the municipality and the constituents. So, please participate. If anyone has any other questions beyond what I've gone through here, please reach out to me. I'd be happy to help. And if I can't help, I'll get you to the right place.
Great. This is Mark Levine, and I want to thank all of the members of the New York State Association of Counties who are joining us today, and many of the 270 members of the Municipal Electric and Gas Alliance who've tuned in. And last but not least, thank you, Chris Rear from NYSERDA, for giving this awesome presentation and answering all these questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye now.